Wine and Dime Pod. We drink wine and talk hoops. I'm Chris, and that's Lyndsay, and we're here today. Got a nice little Malbec from Argentina, Catena. It's pretty good shit, man. 2022 vintage. I'm enjoying it. It's a nice, easy. I forgot what day of the week it was for a second. It's a Monday. We're chilling, having a good time in the middle of the WNBA season, headed toward the final stretch.
Yeah, I love just casually drinking wine in the middle of the week because that's what we do on the pod. So, yeah. No, it's nice. We got some Argentinian Malbec, which is Argentina's like bread and butters. It's a nice wine so far. We'll talk about it a bit more. We're gonna actually go through all the wines we've actually drank on the pod, which turns out it's a lot, and figure out which ones we actually liked the best. We're gonna start kind of power ranking the wines as we go because we figured why not? You know, this is ultimately a sports podcast, and what else do sports podcasts do but rank everything? So why not rank the wine too? We're allowed to have
And they seem
opinions.
to have ranked themselves. They are claiming on the back here. I know this is backwards on the video camera, but it says best vineyard in the world, and there's a little wreath in the middle that says voted number one. I'm gonna drop a little suspense here. Will we vote them number one at the end of it? Who knows?
Stay tuned to
Probably
find
not
out.
though.
Yeah. I mean, it also has a 92 point accolade from James Suckling, which is like a decent one. The interesting thing about wine awards that's like funny is that they're all kind of different. They're all a little subjective also.
Mhm.
If anything, they do more to sell the wine to people who don't know a ton about wine. And when you're just like looking on the shelf, you're like, oh, that has a high score. That must be good. That's like
Hey,
part of it.
I'm guilty of it.
But
I'm guilty of it. If I see that 90, I'm
no,
like,
I mean, as a wine salesperson, I'm also guilty of the fact that like accolades help. They always help.
mhm.
Like when we can put like a gold medal sticker or like some kind of neck tag or whatever on the bottle, like it helps because for those who just like don't know what they want, if they might want to try something new and they see that, they're more likely to pick it up than something else. And it makes sense because even as a
Yeah.
consumer, I do the same thing. Like when I was picking the two wines for the podcast, which to be clear, like we both ultimately have input, but trying to figure out between where we live, which is available, is always interesting. But when I was picking the wine, I definitely chose this one over the other one because it had just better reviews. Like I've never tried either, and so if I'm gonna pick randomly, I'm gonna go with maybe the better reviews. The other one's
Yeah, like
super
when I
popular. I
see
see it.
if I see that 90 plus from wine enthusiast, I'm like, oh, like that makes me want to buy it more. I gotta be honest, I don't know who the fuck James Suckling is. It's kind of an unfortunate name that he's got there too. But so that didn't move me in quite the same way. But I was familiar with this from when I did work at a wine shop. I'd had the Catena before, so felt pretty comfortable with the choice. It's a pretty solid wine. I wouldn't say it's like spectacular. I don't know if again, not to spoil the end of the pod, but I don't know if it's the number one wine that I've ever had in my entire life, but it's good shit, man. I would recommend it. Like personally, I would recommend it. I don't know if I give it 92 points, but I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, how things are ranked are ultimately it's like on quality of the wine for like its category, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, it's definitely got a lot of acidity actually. I'm
A little
kind of
bit, a little
surprised
bit.
by that. I'm a little surprised it has more acidity than I thought. Yeah, so I don't know. Malbec does the best in Argentina. It loves altitude. This is from their high mountain. Oh my god, I can't talk. We're doing a podcast. That's cool. High mountain vines is the words I'm looking for, which is pretty fun. Malbec just really likes heat and the altitude, and so Argentina is pretty perfect for it. It's a big body wine, that's for sure. This one's like a fuller bodied Malbec for sure, I would say. For me, like I don't know about you, but the fruit is not very like fruit forward. It's very much you get more of the oak flavoring, like the spice and just kind of like really
Yeah,
cooked fruit. Like it's not fresh. It's not like a fresh fruity cab or anything by that means. It's like a pretty like cooked wine in that sense, which I mean in a good way.
I feel like I get fruit on the front end, but not on the back end on this one. Like I'm getting some of the dark fruit at
Yeah,
the beginning, but then at the end, I'm kind of like it's mostly like the kind of it's a little bit earthier. I feel like maybe I'm tripping.
for sure. They're aging it, they say, in French oak, which is good. I mean, they use wild yeast. That's kind of interesting. Wild yeast is definitely like an interesting little addition because wild yeast can give you all kinds of results. It's wild. Also, definitely a higher alcohol wine. It's like almost 14%, which is pretty crazy. That's pretty high for most wines. The French oak is nice because it's a little bit less intense than American oak, for instance. It doesn't really fully specify what. They seem to change between using like fresh versus like second or third use barrels. They don't really specify, but yeah, I would definitely agree. It's a pretty like strong flavored wine for sure. It's gonna hold up very well with like stronger meats, but I agree. I get a little fruit on the nose, but it's definitely more like spicy flavors and like kind of richer. I don't even. They say it has chocolate notes. I don't personally get that, but
Okay, and even
everyone's. Yeah, I don't really get any chocolate, but I definitely do get the like really kind of jammy, like cooked like plum. I guess if it's gonna be fruit
a little
forward,
bit.
I can see that like the dark fruit. But
I
yeah,
feel like I should be having this with like some lamb or something like that. I'm not a big food and wine pairing person. Like in general, I'm like pretty pairing agnostic. Like people are like, "Oh, you have to drink this with this kind of meat." I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I will have that like nice, airy, light wine with a burger. I don't care. But this, I feel like I really want. This makes me want like some strong like red meat. Maybe I'm just hungry. I don't know. But I'm definitely in the mood for something like
no, this is definitely
pretty
steak
flavorful right
wine. I
now.
mean, part of the reason Malbec is like so popular in Argentina, aside from the fact it grows well there,
They love steak.
is also that yeah, it goes really well with like um Argentinian barbecue in general. Like
Mm.
I can't remember the term for it. Asado? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, asado I think is just Argentinian barbecue, and the thing with like those kinds of meals is that it's like a Christmas dinner, for instance, or like that kind of deal where you're gonna have a bunch of different plates on the table. A lot of them are gonna be meat-based dishes in that case, in this kind of sense, but there's a lot of different dishes on the table and competing flavors, and usually you want a wine that has a pretty high acidity if you're gonna do that because it helps cut through like any if something's really fatty, for instance, or whatever. The acidity kind of actually helps like almost cleanse your palate enough that you can eat a bunch of different things and it's going to go pretty well. So that's another reason why, like as a pairing wine, Malbec is really popular, especially in Argentina. And yeah, exactly. Like grilled meats are very much part of the culture, and so yeah, Malbec's kind of fun though because it was almost dead in France, and then when it started taking off in Argentina. Like it didn't actually really find its like footing until it started being grown in Argentina, just because the conditions were so perfect for it there. France is almost like it is a French grape, but it's almost too cold for it in France in some cases, and it was really prone to disease. But yeah, it's crushing it in Argentina. I feel like I was thinking about this later. This is an appropriate wine to choose for this episode because we kind of chose it in honor of Alyssa Thomas because she's big body. It's a big body wine, and she's a big body Benz girl. She's super strong, and we were all inspired by her bodying Sophie Cunningham the other day. Her and her wife just teaming up to her wife and Kalia Copper just teaming up to body Sophie was kind of entertaining. And AT has also had 3 straight triple doubles, so like
Yeah, the
probably
streak broke last game, but she had three straight, which so she was already the only player to ever have two consecutive triple doubles, and the three times that it happened, all her. Now three in a row, first time in league history. She's putting real distance between herself and second place for the triple doubles record. She has, if I'm not mistaken, 19. Second place
yeah,
is 4. Almost
yeah, it's
five
pretty
times as
crazy.
many as second place.
She's kind of like becoming the Russell Westbrook of the W in that sense, where she's like an Oscar, well, slash Oscar Robinson, but but she's like really like clearly in the lead for that category.
Mhm.
But it's funny that we chose like an Argentinian wine because I was thinking about it after because I chose it based on just like our conversation about the type of AT like player AT is. Like if AT was a wine, she'd probably be a Malbec or something like that. It has enough, she's got finesse, but she's also her game is very much about like boldness and strength. But
Oh, yeah, the
it's funny that we,
shoulders and the chest.
yeah, pretty much. Well, for sure shoulders, but like not from a shooting perspective, just a like bodying
Yeah,
people
yeah,
perspective.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
They're
belabor
battering
the turn.
rams.
Yes,
They are not
not for
catapults.
shooting.
They are battering rams. That is what they do.
Yeah, exactly. But like I don't know, she plays for the Mercury, and the Mercury are associated with a pretty spicy Argentinian. So in Diana Taurasi, so it's actually a very good wine to choose
That's a
for a
good
Phoenix
pull. That's a
Mercury
good
player.
pull there.
Yeah, I thought about that earlier. I was like, we actually
That
had a
was a
missed
high level
opportunity when we
connection
did
you made
our.
there.
Yeah, yeah. So instead, we chose a South African wine for Taurasi purely on the name, which was pretty funny. So it is a kind of an appropriate way that we're coming back to. The Phoenix Mercury just replaced their spicy leader with another one, pretty much, with AT. So it's actually been kind of fun to see. Spiritually, I think they're very similar players in that sense. Game wise, very different, but just about being as like bold and like different ways maybe, but still kind of spicy players on the court. And I
Yeah,
don't know. I
it's
just
funny
see it there.
because for like 20 plus years they had, Dennis Rossi on the roster, and the Athletics started doing those polls where they said, okay, who's like the biggest trash talker in the league? And Tarazi would obviously sweep that award every time. Obviously, and now in her first year after retirement, immediately that vote goes to a new Phoenix Mercury player. The Phoenix Mercury will always have the top trash talker in the league, apparently. So now Alyssa Thomas is the runaway
Apparently,
favorite for top trash talker. And I guess this is also a good pick for Tarazi because like her documentary just came out on the 7th. So I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet, but kind of looking
neither.
forward
Yeah,
to it.
neither.
It's a three-parter on Amazon, so I'm gonna check that out. And I think it covers a good bit of her part over her time
In
overseas too,
Russia,
playing for a mysterious Russian rich man. So that is it's gonna be
Spartak.
interesting to check out.
Spartak. The team she played for actually doesn't really exist very much anymore. Well, they do. I think they exist still, but they're like not at all the same. Once that owner
Yeah.
died, things really changed. I do. It's funny though because the quote that's flying around from that is that she had to go to a communist country to play, and I'm like, oh honey, you played in the capitalist version of Russia, and that was even more capitalist than
Yeah.
America.
Yeah,
Capitalist
they, they
Russia
they
is
were
like
building a
more
city for
capital.
billionaires not too long ago. Like that is peak capitalism, man. Like,
Moscow has the highest concentration of billionaires in the world,
yeah,
and like when I went there, it was really funny because you're like, man, they took capitalism and they ran. You have to pay for everything. Like you want to go see Dostoevsky's gravesite, cough up the money. The rest of the cemetery is free, but that gravesite you got to
mm.
pay to see. You want to you go to a gift shop, you get free shots of vodka, but you want to use the bathroom, you got to pay.
And you gotta. I guess at least shots are small enough. Like you're probably not gonna have to go to the bathroom a whole bunch of times. So that's
No, the free
encouraging.
vodka is like pretty tiny, but like it's pretty funny because it's like
Yeah,
we'll give you
yeah,
free liquor, but like to use the bathroom, now you got to pay for that.
yeah. In is
That was
free. Out costs money. Like you can't.
that was possibly the most Russian experience I had. I was like, yep, that tracks. But yeah, it was just that quote was really funny because I'm like, no, you were not in the communist version of Russia. Let me tell you, Diana.
Yeah, I think most people
Rampant.
still understand communism to just mean authoritarianism, like writ large, right? And when it's like actually like an economic system, I think most people, and I still explain this to people like all the time, that's not really quite what it is. Like China also not really communist anymore, even though they're still run by the Chinese Communist Party. Like they don't really do that.
Totalitarian.
They love
Absolutely.
themselves a titan of industry too, man. They love themselves a rich man.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. People. Yeah. No. I'm like you got paid really well because the EuroLeague is probably the most capitalistic league in the sense that it has no salary cap, so you can spend money to win. You can. That's why the UMMC was so big before. I'm sure Russian billionaires who owned pro sports teams are pretty pissed about the current state of affairs because they can't get any good talent anymore, uh, or have their teams play in European competitions, which is also shitty. But yeah, we digress. Do need to check out that documentary though. But yeah, the WNBA season's kind of rolling. We figured we'd maybe return to some. We did tiers a few episodes ago, and we're not going to go fully through that, but we wanted to kind of do a quick little chat about how things have changed in the league, maybe since we went over that, because some teams that we thought were really falling at the time might be rising now. Yeah, just kind of a little quick stock up, stock down, talk about the state of the league a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of a fun time where we're in the middle of like there's lots of games happening. It's post All-Star break, the trade deadline is over, but we're in that final stretch of the season where playoff positioning is kind of being jostled for and things like that. But the trade deadline was a little bit spicy, so there's definitely some stuff to talk about. But I'll let you kick it off since I'll be a benevolent host.
I'm gonna go stock up first, and I'm gonna get this out the way because it pains me greatly. I do not enjoy seeing this, but Los Angeles Sparks are playing some good basketball, man. It does not bring me any joy, but I mean, shit, they had a 5 game win, or yeah, a 5 game win streak, lost one time, and then went on a 3 game win streak immediately afterward. They just beat a playoff bound Seattle Storm team. Cam Brink is back. She's blocking the shit out of everything. Them long ass arms. The Sparks are 15 and 16 now. They went from a complete afterthought this season. The team that Kelsey Plum just goes and gets buckets on while they lose a bunch of games, to now looking like they're gonna push for a playoff spot. Like I
Yeah,
even expect the Sparks to make the playoffs this year, and they might not
yeah,
be
because
fun to play against.
they are currently their record is 15 and 16. They're tied with the Valkyries, so like the Valkyries are currently clinging to the last. I guess yeah, the Valkyries are at 500. Never mind. So they're yeah, the Sparks are like
Half a game behind Golden
one.
State. and one
Yeah, right
game
behind
or
them.
half a game behind Seattle. Seattle's 16 and
Yeah.
16, so
Yeah, it's crazy because the Valkyries are really hanging on to. They're clinging to that last playoff spot, but the Sparks are definitely pushing for it.
they won 8 of 10.
Um, it is pretty crazy how getting a few players back and just having a bit more time with that system. Like it seems like the system is thriving. Like players are thriving in that.
Yeah,
Kelsey Plum obviously was made for that, but having Brink back is really good. I'm glad that they kind of slow played her return though, to be honest, because
yep,
she's looked really, really good. And I know she was
yep.
on social media, like kind of like not bitching about it to about the team, like protecting her, but just like she was anxious to get back out there. I saw a few funny TikToks that she'd made. She's just anxious to get back out there, but she's been very good since she's been back. So I think the team did the right thing about just kind of slow playing that return. Like, let's not rush this because honestly, like, we don't have strong expectations this year. So, like, if we do well, then great. If you come back later and we're going to be even better. And if we slow play you and we're still kind of crappy when you come back, that's also okay. And it's better about protecting the asset for the future. And that was definitely a smart move. Rakia Jackson's been hooping too. Like, she's looking really good. Her and Brink always they had great chemistry for that first part of the season before Brink went down. So that's been kind of nice. Plus, just, yeah, those nice little veteran things about, like, Plum. Azria Stevens has been playing really well. I'm really happy for her. I'm sad still that she went to the Sparks from Chicago. She was always one of my favorite Sky members, but she's been playing really well, and she fits so nicely next to with Brink and those players as well. So they've kind of got
It's
the
so hard
right
to know what to
vet,
call players on some teams, right? Like Sky members. Like
right?
I've
I'm
run out of
like,
ways to describe people in the Mercury too. It's tough when you don't have those plural team names. I really don't know what to do.
yeah, like, um, so like I think the Mercury account the other day was like, um, it's a good day to be a Chicago Sky or to be a Phoenix Mercury, and I'm like, that sounds so
Yeah, I
weird.
saw that. It's so weird. Like I've been calling them either Mercury players or just Mercs. With like Mercs sounds like it's short for like mercenary. So I'm like I don't
It
even know.
does. I know. It's weird. I don't really know what to do with it because most of the WNBA team names, honestly, are kind of bad. One day we should probably do a tiers based on just team names because most of them are kind of shitty. But
Might even do a whole renaming for all of them at some point.
honestly, we should probably do that because, oof.
But man, the
Yeah.
Sparks though, I mean, they were 7 and 14. They were I was not even thinking about them. Nobody was thinking about them at all, really, as far as the bigger picture with the league, the actual league season this year. 15 and 16 now,
Yeah.
one more win at 500, and 500
To be
when you
honest,
got
too.
13 teams and an 18 playoff, that'll get you in. Like,
Low key, what's been very good for them too was when they picked up Julie Van Loo on waivers from the Valkyries plus like Julie Alamon, like the Belgian point guards have been really fun for them because Alamon in particular is a true point guard. Like she's not a shooting point guard really. She's just a very good facilitator and like a setter up of the offense, which Kelsey Plum, as much for all of her skills, is not really that kind of player. So just having like some steady presence on the ball has been really good, and especially because they have like young post players, right? Like young Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson are both really young, so I think having those just like stable players, plus like honestly, Alamond and Valou have been so good for Belgium the last couple years. They've really like come on. Like Alamond was a bit of a failed experiment in Chicago, in my mind, but I enjoyed watching her play because she's always a great teammate and just like a steady player. She just isn't like, a star necessarily, but it's been it's been fun to see. Plus, like Sarah Ashley Barker, their other rookie this year, she got lots of really good experience at the beginning, kind of playing in an oversized role. So now she's, gotten some fast development. It just seems like the team is like gelling and like they're buying into that system. So much to your chagrin, yeah, they're definitely like surging to end the season here, which is kind of how you want, especially as a young team. Whereas last year, like by the end, it was like, please just end this experiment. Like Brink was hurt, and like, the rest of the roster was kind of meh. So, and the coaching was obviously, I mean, the whole Kurt Miller thing was a bit disappointing because it seemed like the team really liked Kurt, so that was a bit strange. But I just don't think. I think when they hired Kurt Miller, they had higher expectations of turning things around faster, and it didn't quite work because they needed different players. I think they have a more clarified vision now with the new coach and everything like that. So positive for the Sparks. I'm gonna go stock down because I got to be a bummer apparently, and I'm gonna talk about probably the most not interesting, but it's definitely been the news that's gotten the WNBA in the news the most, and that's been these
yeah,
crypto
I
bros
noticed
throwing
more.
sex toys on the court.
It had to be crypto bros too. Like it
Had to
wasn't just
be.
random assholes. It had to be an organized movement by some of the slimiest people in the business world, which is
Yeah.
makes it even more unfortunate now. It sucks.
The headline about it, like the USA Today article or whatever, when it like was like, people responsible are these crypto bros. The headline, the way it was worded, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was the most 2025 sentence of all time. Basically, it's just like, what the fuck is this? What is happening in the world right now? But I agree, it had to be crypto bros. And I think like when they interviewed the guy who kind of like admitted responsibility for it or whatever, like at the head of this meme coin, again, 2025 is a weird place, weird timeline to be in.
Meme currency existing in 2025 is like not something I anticipated when I went to business school a bunch of years ago. I gotta say,
No, no, it was not on my bingo card for evolution, but hey,
nah.
it happens, I guess. But I definitely think that when he said something about like it's not really like specifically about the WNBA, it's just that it was like they got a lot of media coverage and it's the only live sports happening right now, so we went with that. Felt like a bit of a cop out where it's like we're not acknowledging the fact that like it's like when people just don't want to talk about race or they don't want to talk about like the gender issue or whatever because
Mm.
they're like, well, it can be something separate. It doesn't have to be about that. I
Yeah.
honestly don't really believe that. Like, there's other things happening, like go to an MLB game and try that, or go to
Yeah,
an
there's
MLS game and try
162 of
that,
those a year. Like they had to throw the
right?
dildos at a bunch of women. Like
Yeah, and Cheryl Reeve definitely kind of went off about it recently. Obviously, Sophie Cunningham got she talked a lot about it on her own podcast, which of course she has a podcast. And also she tweeted about it a lot. And like honestly, it's probably the only time I'll ever agree with something she truly says. But it was just like it's dangerous. First of all, like you're gonna hurt somebody, whether it's a player, somebody on the bench, or like a fan because you didn't chuck it far enough. Second, where's the security at? Like, what? How did you get in with that? Genuinely curious. And yeah, Cheryl Reeve kind of went off about how like this is just a new form of the same old bullshit of essentially like sexualizing the WNBA in a weird because men are strange. Like it's just another like version of it instead of, they don't have the ability to go into the comments anymore and be like no one watches women's sports and all that shit, so this is just another way to like get attention by being an asshole. I don't know about the W, and it just feels too targeted to completely just be like, no, it was just because it's the only thing happening and they got a lot of press coverage. Like, no, that's not it.
it's got to be a way to get attention that doesn't involve throwing shit at people on the court. You know what I mean? Like,
Especially like dildos. Like,
yeah,
and especially
yeah,
too,
yeah,
there's also an added layer that like a lot of the players in the WNBA are LGBTQ, so like just weird. There's just a lot of like
yeah.
strangeness about it where I'm like, this feels gross in a way that like isn't innocent and like it's not innocent and funny. This is just gross.
No, yeah.
So that's definitely a stock down. It's not about a team in particular at the moment. It's just a trend of like, ugh,
People,
I
people,
don't like
people
it.
being nasty for no
And I,
reason.
I did see it. Was it? I think you sent it to me, or maybe I can't remember. But I saw something that was like some dude with a fleshlight, and he's like, "I'm gonna get the WNBA's licks back all at once." I was like, not a
Some
great
awesome
like.
shit there,
I
headquarters,
don't
man.
I don't fully condone that, but also like would be kind of funny. Chucking it at Adam Silver. I
Vigilante
don't know.
justice, man. Vigilante
Yeah,
justice. You know, sometimes you
chucking
gotta
it at
take
Adam
matters in
Silver.
your own hands. Yeah,
Yeah, just
directly at
chucking it
Adam.
at him. Wait outside the NBA offices and just chuck it at him. But that's I don't know. Ugh, man. Anyway.
Uh, I'm gonna move to a positive note. Well, positive note for some people, not for me, given the events of yesterday. But my stock rising is the Atlanta Dream, who have now beaten my team's ass 3 times this season. All 3 times they will not play each other again unless they meet in the playoffs. They might. So the Dream kind of seemed like a little bit of an awkward fit. They were like, "Hey, we want to go out here. We want to run fast pace. We want to shoot hella threes." But they went out there, Brianna Jones and Brittany Griner, two traditional bigs. I mean, they both have good enough jumpers, mid range, and they can both shoot a little bit from three, but they kind of feel like an awkward fit for the vision. They are fucking cooking right now. I think they've won like 7 of 10 or 8 of 10 or something like that. They're tied for second in the league. They've now have the same record as the New York Liberty. I mean, they won a bunch of these games without Ryan Howard.
Yeah.
And a few of them
Alicia
without
Gray has
Brittany
been.
Griner too. They've been fucking good.
I think, to be honest, like this is maybe some, and I think Kurt Goldsberry's talked about this a lot in relation to the Pacers. But like fast pace doesn't necessarily just mean running up and down the court. Like it's how fast you get into your sets. It's um just like things like that, like being able just constant movement, like how fast you inbound the ball. I think something like getting like a Brittany Griner and a Brianna Jones, like even though um sorry, I'm just pulling up some stats here. Like I don't know exactly how good or bad of a rebounding team they were last year,
Great one
to be
now.
honest. But they're a good one now, and that helps with playing fast because the more you can get defensive rebounds, you can get them to your outlets, to your fast guards, and get down the floor. So that just helps with pace. So it's like even if they maybe aren't as part of the offense, like Brittany Griner is only averaging like 10 points this year, which isn't. I think that's a career low probably for her. But she's in the perfect kind of role where they just need her. She can get trail threes. She can come in. She's gonna get some boards. She's a very good defender, and if anything, she kind of helps just clarify the defense a little bit as well. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, again, like you said, they both have pretty good jumpers, so that really helps. But yeah, I love how much they really bought into the system. It seems like their coach, like that coaching change really worked, and he's actually doing what people who've watched The Dream for the last few years were screaming about, which is like make life easy for your players because you have really good players. Alicia Gray has been really good. She's been one of the most consistently underrated players in the league, in my opinion, for like a long time. And it's fun to see her actually be the leading scorer on the team. Part of that's because Ryan was out, but still. She was the perfect acquisition when they got her to pair next to Ryan Howard. But I just don't think the coaching situation, you could tell, like, it didn't make anyone's lives easier. It was kind of just like, give the ball to Ryan and hope that she makes the right choices. And that's fine because she's an amazing player. But it was like, this isn't going to go well when it comes to, like, the nitty gritty time of the season when you need to be in the playoffs, things get hard. And so to really win at a high level, and that's why I always saw Atlanta kind of falter near the end of the season. So it seems like they found a coach who could put a system to clarify, because a lot of the talent on the roster has been there for the last couple of years. Alicia Gray's been there, Ryan Howard's been there, Jordan Canada's been there, Naz Hellman's been there, Nia Coffey's been there. I want to say Maya Caldwell was there last year potentially. Walker Kimbrough was there last year, I'm pretty sure, or she's maybe new, but
Yeah, Caldwell was there. Walker Kimball was on Washington last year.
Right, okay. I couldn't remember when she, like, chose to leave. I couldn't remember if it was last year, but whatever. Regardless, like, they've just got, and then so they've surrounded these, like, a young player like Ryan, and now Tahini Paupau, who's been really good as a rookie also. She's been getting a lot of blocks, which is really fun. It's almost like Dawn Staley is a good guard developer. Shocking. Yeah. It seems to be a thing on Twitter that people just, like, that Dawn Staley can't develop guards, but she clearly can, because... broadly gestures. Yeah. I do think
like
though
really smart ball too, right? Like
they
they
do.
bludgeon people inside, they get a lot of second chance points. But I think the thing that's really interesting about them is that they still fucking turn the ball over. And for a team like Phoenix that forces so many turnovers, like part of the reason they've struggled in that matchup is Atlanta just does not cough the ball up. Like I think Phoenix forces like 16 turnovers a game or some shit, and they only forced 15 over the first two games against Atlanta. Like they just don't cough it up. Like their guards are very responsible. Their bigs are very responsible. Like one thing that stood out to me the first time that I watched them play this season was whenever somebody would try to like send extra help at Griner or at Jones, that ball would come out real quick. And they would just put the defense in rotation and fuck them up. And I remember like there was a point last game where Jones was driving toward the basket and help came after she put the ball on the floor, and I was like, oh, that's a strip, right? And she did like a 180 and sprayed it to somebody who I know she did not see, but she knew she was there. That's
Because
just
she was
part of the
supposed
team
to
being
be.
organized and the players being smart.
Yeah.
She knew where the player was where she's supposed to be. There's no way she saw her before she like was almost
No.
in like the passing motion. And I was just like, oh, that's like some video game shit where it's like I, as the person controlling the player, can see the entire court, 360 degrees, but like it's not like it almost felt like an unrealistic pass, but it's like no, she knows she's there. That was a fucking great play.
It feels like those Jokic passes where you're like, how did he know that person was there?
Yeah.
Brianna Jones has always been a pretty underrated passer, though. I feel like that's been something that about her game that I think got kind of like lost in the sauce a little bit in Connecticut, just because of how those players really all fit together. But yeah, I think you're right. Like I think the coaching change, like, because they didn't make a lot of roster changes. Like they brought in, obviously bringing in Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones are big acquisitions. But a lot of the main roster was already there. They just needed to be better organized because they had smart players, they had talented players, like you said. They just needed better organization. And I think to your point, like the coaching, there's a lot more movement in this offense in general, and that's how. Yeah, and they've all bought into it, and they're smart enough to play that. I mean, most players are smart, are really smart, but they're all bought into it, and that's how they want to play. And it's been pretty fun to see for sure. I haven't watched a ton of Dream basketball, but it's definitely been very clear when you watch them that like they all believe in what they're doing, and the vibes are very good there. Whereas before it was like I can't believe in this team till I see it because when it gets hard. It's not that I didn't believe in Ryan or even like the players individually or collectively. It was just you could always sense that there was just something missing, that like coaching was not helping, you know? Coaching isn't everything in this sport, obviously. Talent is ultimately what wins games, but coaching can definitely make lives easier for those players. Like you need the good players to get you buckets when it's hard and coaching can't free that up all the time. But in the regular season especially, you need your coaches to make everything as easy as possible, because in the playoffs, then they can also still do that a little bit, but at least like your players are a bit fresher and they're a bit more just like everyone also feels involved, and that helps too in keeping everyone engaged. And it's based on like the quick stats, like a lot of players are averaging double digits, and if not, they're pretty close, you know? It doesn't seem like anybody's they're mostly the distribution of minutes, like their rotation is like decently wide, so at least for the regular season. So everyone seems at least engaged, and that's also super important, which I kind of felt like wasn't happening in Atlanta at a certain point. So it's kind of fun. I'm glad.
Yeah,
It's been interesting. It's been a good couple of years for new coach acquisitions. Like we talked about that
I
last week a bit, or last
remember
time a bit, but Dallas
I wrote
notwithstanding.
early in the season when I was previewing the first Dream Mercury game that like the Dream were a better team than their record suggested. Like they still had a pretty good record, but like their underlying numbers were really nice. And that's borne fruit lately. I mean, they have the second best point differential in basketball, like, after the Lynx, even better than the Liberty. They get a higher percentage of the points from three than any team in the league. And despite playing two traditional bigs, I mean, they just know how to generate good looks from out there.
Some of that is
They're
definitely
really,
Pow Pow
really.
hitting everything too. Pow Pow and
She's hitting
Alicia
like
Gray have
almost
been on
40,
fire.
45 fucking percent or something like that.
Yeah.
She is a shooter, man. But she's shown that she can handle the ball and like run pick and rolls and stuff too. Like she's not just out
I mean,
there knocking down shit. And like she's gonna have to show more point guard stuff now. Now that Jordan Canada's hurt, unfortunately. But I think she's shown in the limited time that she's had to like be a lead ball handler off the bench that she can do it. Like I actually fully believe that she can.
I mean, Alicia Gray is also shooting over 40% from three this season, so the players they do have that are shooting from outside are on fire. And like you said, they're getting
Mhm.
good looks. But that's the thing about having, like, both Griner and Brianna Jones have always been good passing bigs, and that just helps open up the perimeter a little bit more, especially because they have gravity still. You still have to respect Brittany Griner, even if she's not quite the player she used to be. You still have to respect Brianna Jones as a post presence because she's a very good post presence, right? Like, they're
Yep.
just a little more threatening than their previous posts were, and that really opens up the perimeter so much more. So,
Yeah,
I
Griner
think
can
we
shoot
had
right
them.
over anybody, and Jones is
I
a
think
bully.
when
She'll put
right.
your ass over the rim.
I think what we when we did our tiers, we had them in that like not full blown contender tier, but right below.
Mhm.
And I think we were just waiting for a bit more like, okay, is the bottom gonna fall out because they're still a new team and like, teams get hot starts. And I think we could probably, if we were redoing the tiers, solidly move them up into that title contention because
Yeah.
the the Liberty kind of stumbled a little bit for a bit, and then um, and Atlanta closed some ground. I mean, they're tied with Atlanta in the standings currently. So, or sorry, tied with New York in the standings currently. The Lynx are number one, but then then Liberty and then Atlanta, and the Atlanta and Liberty have exactly the same record. There's a few more home wins for New York, but there's more road wins for Atlanta. So like they're very even teams, and that would be very interesting. Why do you think Atlanta and Phoenix don't match up well though? Like what is it about
I
the
mean,
dream that the Phoenix seems to be? Is it the
they
size?
kind of talked they kind of talked about it in the press conference after the last game. Size was kind of an issue in the physicality, but also like a couple of those games came during Phoenix was kind of having like a rough stretch in general. He was saying that like they weren't getting their sets on time offensively. Some of the chemistry stuff with all their players coming back from injury, but I feel like the Dream had better nailed down their identity and their vision for the way they want to play in some respects. Because Phoenix's like hot start kind of came with a lot of players missing. It kind of
True.
had
Yeah.
to
It was the
really
will
bring
of
everything
Satu
to a couple
Sabali,
big
pretty
moves.
much.
I
Yeah, it was
mean,
a
and Alyssa Thomas, who was
AT and
incredible,
Satu. Yeah.
and then basically role players flying around, around them, basically playing D, knocking down threes, right? And now there's been a little bit more like having to integrate three very disparate skill sets and kind of have the team orbit around that. There's been changes to rotation, but I mean, ultimately they haven't. I don't think they've matched Atlanta's physicality. They also are not playing their biggest player very much against Atlanta, which is super interesting. I think Kalani Brown was glued to the bench last game because
Yeah.
Tibbetts wants an 8-man rotation, and then or 8-player rotation, sorry. And then yeah, it's gonna be kind of a weird one. Just kind of Atlanta takes care of the ball really well, and Phoenix is just not getting out in the break because Atlanta just
Yeah.
not turn that shit over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they do. They've had a pretty clear identity from the very beginning because as soon as they hired that coach, like his team was known for letting it fly from three and like playing a certain way. And as much as obviously good coaches tailor their systems to the players, I feel like his system already fit the players they had to some extent. So I don't mean buy-in works, but they had a pretty clear identity and that helps. But yeah, it's interesting they didn't play Kalani against like Griner because I feel like both Griner and Jones are big, and while Phoenix has very physical players, they're not necessarily very tall. So fair enough, interesting. Well, I'm gonna do my last stock down because alternating. I guess. Um, Definitely going with the Dallas Wings because they somehow feel even worse than they actually are. They made some interesting sort of moves, I guess, at the trade deadline. Or before the trade deadline, they where did they go? Here, sorry, I had something pulled up and then I lost it because I have too many fucking. There we go. They signed Grace Berger. They waived Carly Samuelson, which was sort of interesting. Their biggest acquisition though is they traded Dejanay to Minnesota and then they picked up Diamond Miller. Cheryl Reeves' comments were kind of entertaining. But they were interesting because they were like, she was very positive about Diamond. I mean, I don't think that it was personal with Diamond. I think it was just really hard for Diamond to develop on that roster because of the expectations of the team and who's on it at the end of the day. And her injuries really just set her back, and she has an opportunity to like potentially kind of grow in Dallas. But the way she put it was, I can't remember exactly her words, but essentially implying that there was like no structure and no like expectations in Dallas. So it was a good place for a good place for her to go because there was room for her to grow there. But it also implied to some extent the lack of just they're a deeply unserious basketball team, if that makes sense. Like outside of Paige Beckers, like they haven't really actually had a ton going for them this year. They don't have the worst record in the league, miraculously, but somehow they actually feel worse than Connecticut, even though Connecticut is in the standings a worse team. The roster is still doesn't really make any sense, and I think a lot of the players, and the opposite of the Atlanta Dream, their coach has not been well received, and a lot of their players don't seem particularly stoked about what's happening. There was a really like a post. I mean, everything with Paige kind of goes viral, but the post about
Yeah,
Koklanis drying
everyone
up
was
a
making
play and the
faces
look
while
on
he was.
yeah, the looks on all of the team players' faces were just like, what? So Dallas has like a brewing crisis happening, which isn't super surprising. I mean, they waived Tira McCowan also, which was like a little surprising. I guess Lee Uera has been like pretty decent, but I mean, Arike's scoring is like way down. She's only averaging 15 points a game. They got rid of Dejanay, who was doing well. I mean, Maddie Siegrist has been fine. She hasn't played a ton because she was hurt. Nalissa Smith they traded to the Aces. Leah's been good. She was better, I guess, than Tira, sort of. But I don't know. They're just still a mess in Dallas, and it's unfortunate seeing Paige on such a dumpster fire, but we all knew that was going to happen. At least when Caitlin came into the Fever, like, the team was bad, but there was some other clearly, like, pieces. Like, they had Aaliyah Boston, for instance, where you're like, okay, like, those two are going to be a pair in the future. Kelsey Mitchell was an established shooting guard who they decided paid to keep in free agency, and she chose to stay. And then the second year they went out and got players. It's not like they need to accelerate the timeline with Paige necessarily, but they also probably like should surround her with a better roster than this. But I don't know. I don't know. I hope Kurt has a real plan because the coaching hire has been a mistake, and I hope that he kind of just like I don't ever want to call for someone to lose their job because it's just like not what I like to do, but I don't really think that it's a good idea to keep this coach past this year just for the simple fact that like he's becoming a meme. The players are literally memes every time they're in the huddle with him. You know, you can't have that shit. And like,
The cameras are looking for it now. Like it's before they even
well,
start drawing it up.
absolutely,
They're looking for it.
especially because it's been noticed at Dallas home games or Dallas games in general. Like from reporters just watching, they've seen like when Dejanay and Kuklanis like absolutely beefed, and so I wasn't particularly surprised that Dejanay got traded. I think it was just kind of waiting for the right trade, but I mean, yeah, it's the cameras are looking for it, and like there's been multiple reports of like from the sidelines, like you can see it, like they're arguing or not listening to the coach, and the coach is like ignoring his players. Like it's just clearly not going very well, and it's been really interesting to see a bunch of first-time WNBA head coaches do so much better than someone who was on a WNBA bench for a long time. It's really interesting to see in a sad kind of way. Not that I had expectations for Dallas to be good, but it's also like they have some okay players, so it's not like it has to be this bad. And they've just looked unorganized and weird on the court. Like when Paige isn't out there, it's just like, what the fuck? And I don't want to say Enrique is not a winning player, but at this point, it's like I don't think she's been dealt a fair hand either. But at this point, it's like what's it gonna take for you to be a winning player? You know? So the Wings are just kind of a nightmare. I don't want to say like I kind of a part of me hopes that Enrique is like a Devin Booker type player where for years and years and years he was just really good on a really shitty team with no expectations, and it's not his fault they can't win when there is nothing good there. But
Yeah, Dragon Bender wasn't fixing that roster,
no,
man. I'm sorry
no,
to say. No
exactly.
disrespect to
So
Dragon, but
yeah, exactly. So I don't know because the other thing is that Dallas has had talent, unlike the Suns in the Booker era. Like Dallas has drafted, they've had so many top lottery picks that are no longer even on the team anymore, and it's weird. So yeah, Dallas remains a mess, and they're continuing to trend down. Whereas even a team like Connecticut, low key, is kind of trending up. Like watching them play, like they've been in games. They
they've been
lost a lot,
competitive.
but they've been in the games. Like was watching some of like Sparks Son the other night because it was just on TV, and they were fighting. Like, and I mean, neither team is very good, but I mean, the Sparks, like we just talked about, are rising, and they're not an easy team. But like Connecticut's not an easy team to beat. Like the Aces didn't exactly like. I mean, Asia had a historic performance against them, but it's not like the Aces like beat them by 20. They won by I think maybe 10, which isn't really a bad loss for a team that's kind of just in flux as much as they are in Connecticut. So, you know, that coach at least has their players playing hard for them. They may not be winning, but those players are playing hard. Like, you know, you have a veteran like Tina Charles who has been out there like she's been playing so hard and she doesn't necessarily have to on a team that's losing this badly, but they haven't lost faith. You can tell when you can tell with the
She's
body
losing the
chemistry
scoring
of those,
still.
right? Like, and you can tell with the body language of those players. Like, they're still trying and fighting hard. Like, I mean, Marina is crashing out, but she'll crash out no matter what. That is what it is. But, you know, like, they're fighting hard and playing well. And, like, Anissa Morrow and Sanaya Rivers are finding their footing. Like, there's at least something, they're moral victories, but in a team that just went through a complete teardown like that, you're kind of cool with that. With Dallas, it's like, there's not even signs of life in that sense. Like, Paige has been really good. We know that. So that's great. But we kind of always knew that was going to be the case. And other than that, it's like, what else is going on that's good here? Because I have a
Connecticut's
feeling
kind
there's
of
like,
been like a pleasant surprise lately because like I went to one of their games last week.
oh, Connecticut, yeah.
Um, they had just beaten the New York Liberty by 16, and then the game that I watched them play, you know, it was like the single digit loss. They were in it for pretty much the entire game. They fought pretty hard. They even had a little bit of juice on offense at times. Like it just took. They played Vegas on the road. I think yesterday, or the day before, one of the two, and it took like a historic performance from Asia Wilson to beat Connecticut by like 8 points. You know what I mean? Like their record is horrible, but it doesn't feel like they're the discouraging type of bad team where it's just like, oh my God, we're getting our ass kicked every game. Like this is, you know,
Yeah.
they're not good enough, like obviously, but they're not supposed to be good enough right now. It's kind of not what they're going for at the moment, and they're showing a little bit of promise and a little bit. They're showing some fight too.
Which is what you want to see. And like, if anything, that just justifies like the coach that they brought in, for instance, right? It's just like, okay, he clearly showed something. This is good. The players bought in. They were losing like crazy, and none of them ever quit. That's a sign of like good coaching in the sense that like if you're a bad coach, like people are going to give up on you pretty fast. See also Dallas. Yeah, like that's a good sign. So at the very least, it validates that like great, we made a good coaching hire. When we get some better players, this is probably going to go the way we want it. It also validates their draft picks, Anissa Morrow and Sanaya Rivers, and kind of validates the decision too to keep Marina Mabry because like she wanted out, and they're like, no, we paid a lot for you, we're gonna keep you, and that's worked really well, right? Like she is, as much as she's spicy, she's a good veteran to have around. And then Tina Charles, like it is a mishmash team and it's a bit weird, but at least you can take some like positive, solid, like okay, we have some building blocks here, like you said. You know, they fought hard, but the Wings don't have that at all. I don't see the vision. So they're definitely still falling. Is what it is. Yeah.
My other my final stock falling is knees, I guess maybe even legs in general. In 2 days apart, I had to watch Sid Colson tear her ACL, and then Jordan Canada get carried off the court, like carried off the court. It's like it feels like the injuries are ramping up. There was somebody did like a pretty in-depth study. Injuries are well up this season over previous years, like not just last year, but also like historical averages. And it's been tough to see, man. And a big part of it is one of the things that's been big in the CBA negotiations is there's just way more games in a smaller in the same calendar footprint, basically. So these teams are playing every other night, over and over and over. There's been back-to-backs where the games aren't even 24 hours apart, and people's like legs are just wearing the fuck down. Like players look tired in some
Well,
of these.
and I don't think that they fully fixed the travel problem. I don't. Are they all flying charter this season? I don't really know. But even then, I don't think travel's been fully fixed. And so then when you have a more condensed schedule on top of that, that's just going to lead to more injuries because less, like you said, less rest means more injuries. And players have been pretty outspoken about that. They don't necessarily have a problem with playing more games, but they have an issue with the fact that the schedule is like messed up. Especially like it's been uneven. Like Phoenix played an insane number of games in a short period at the beginning of the season. I think part of the Liberty, their fall there for a little while, was just the sheer number of games they were playing in a short period of time. Um, it's been kind of a crazy, crazy season for that, and it's crazy. So I just saw something too that with Sid Colson going down, the two remaining players from the 2011 draft class are both out with ACL tears, with Courtney Vandersloot and now Sydney Colson. So it's not even like just this recent rash of injuries, but there's been others like in the season already, and it sucks. No one ever wants to see that. I don't know. Injuries are shitty, and even like Caitlin, like not even severe like knee injuries, which obviously are like rampant, but like it's been smaller soft tissue injuries. Like Caitlin Clark's fucked up both groins, like both sides of her groin, which is like not ideal. And you have to wonder if some of that is, I mean, she doesn't play overseas, so she had a full off season, but you have to wonder if just this is the most games she's ever played in a season in her life, right?
And
Like,
Lupita Collier, the MVP frontrunner, also
yeah,
not playing right now due to injury.
yep.
Everybody hurt.
Paige is out with a back injury now. It's yeah, like there's just, and I mean injuries happen, especially in a sport like basketball where there's a lot of just like dangerous movement, like running and jumping and start and stop the way you do. Like that's just hard on the ligaments and the body, like we've talked about before. But it does feel like the lack of rest is definitely a problem, and especially since not all of these teams have really that's the other part of it. Not all of these teams have, I think the training staff is good, to be clear, but the facilities are not always good in lots of cases. And that
Mm.
also plays into those kinds of things, right? Not that having the best facility prevents injuries, that those still happen, but at least it goes a little bit when you're going to have this crazy long season. But I mean, the Fever are down really bad because they lost Colson, they also lost Ari McDonald, and Caitlin is still out. So like they literally do not have healthy point guards. It's apparently bad to be a point guard in Indiana because between Tyrese,
Yep.
Ari, and Sydney Colson, apparently it's dangerous work to be a point guard in
Somebody check on
Indianapolis.
TJ McConnell. Somebody go check on him right now. Don't let him go
It's
outside.
rough. They need to the Fever need to wrap Kelsey Mitchell in bubble wrap because she's kind of their only hope in terms of like offense at this point. I mean, she went off the other night, but kind of had to. Like, she didn't really have a choice. I mean, not that the Fever have bad players around them, don't get me wrong, because obviously they still have lots of good players, but when you're
So yeah,
missing,
Boston.
yeah, but like when you're missing, but you need guards. Like most of their best players now are posts, and that's fine, but none of them are bringing the ball up the court. They're not initiating sets. Like you still need healthy guards. At the end of the day, there's a reason there's two position group, kind of, sized position groups. Their skills are different and they all play together, and you see that without like a lot of good ball handling, it definitely makes it harder for the posts to play well because I mean they're just going to be able to throw more like double and triple teams at Howard and Boston and those players too. So yeah, they need some help. Not that I'm necessarily rooting for the Fever. I don't really have I'm indifferent towards them. I just generally don't like to cheer for Indiana teams. That's just how that works. But for me, but even though spiritually I'm from a place that's not that different from Indiana, but that's not the point. I just can't do it. So yeah, I don't know. The Fever, they're clinging for life right now. I think they're probably hoping like hell that that Caitlin gets injured, or sorry, Caitlin gets healthy at this point. But it looks like the Fever are clinging to a playoff spot. They're still in the top 5, so that's okay. But they need Caitlin or somebody to come back healthy like immediately. But it definitely hurts them in the playoffs because part of the reason they wanted Sid Colson was because of her finals experience. And obviously she's still going to be around the team. But it's not the same when she's not on the floor or on the bench in the same way, right? It just adds, you're missing something there. So that's tough.
You add more value when you're actually able to go out there and dribble the ball, as opposed to just imparting
Yeah.
advice on the
Yeah.
youngsters. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, the best ability is availability.
Yeah, yeah,
It's better,
always, always.
always. Always, but
Got one more stock down, and it is
yeah, I'll
the
let you go and then
Seattle
we'll finish with my
Storm.
positives.
The
Okay.
Seattle Storm, who seemed like they could be a kind of a fringe contender going into the season. They had a pretty decent start. They're on a 5-game losing streak, and none of them, other than the one against Minnesota, has really been to like contender, right? This has been a relatively soft bit of schedule for them, and now they're playing Atlanta, Phoenix in their next 3 games. It's not looking super great for the Seattle Storm, who are now down to 500. It's not where this team thought they would be, not at all.
No,
So
their losses recently, like their 5-game losing streak, they haven't lost by a lot of points. Like they barely lost to LA twice. They lost by 4 points to Indiana in like a rock fight, 78-74. Woof. And then they only lost by 4 points to Minnesota and 4 points to Las Vegas. So it's not like they lost like by a ton of points, but it's still not. Close losses aren't great when you're supposed to be a contending team. And I mean, it's funny because their losses have mostly coincided with their rookie going off. And it's not her fault by any means. It's kind of coincidence, but it's also like interesting that they're finally playing her more and the team is losing. And again, not Dominique Malonga's fault. There's obviously other reasons. I haven't really watched a lot of Storm basketball this year, so I can't quite say. I don't know personally what the reason is why they're scheduling, like why they're falling so hard, but I suspect that I don't know. It's just interesting. But this has kind of happened to the Storm the last couple years. There's something about like the roster construction or coaching or the combination, but it's not working. It hasn't really last year. Like it worked last year a little. They looked really good at times and then really bad at times. And then at the beginning of this year, we're like, oh, maybe they're just, took a year to get those new players all together and they're going to be all good. But yeah, it's been rough the last few games. And it feels like most of their losses have come recently. Like a 5-game losing streak is pretty tough.
it's pretty
Because they
significant when
lost.
you only play a 44-game season. You know what I mean? Like it's those a
Yeah.
streak like that can really dramatically alter where you sit in the playoff chase.
And the challenge is that if you're going to have a 5-game losing streak, if anything, you kind of want it to happen at the beginning of the season. Because
Yeah.
now is when playoff seeding is really like every day it's changing. And especially because it's very, very condensed. Like Seattle's only 1 game up on Golden State, and they're only 2 games behind the Aces, and they're only 1 game. They're really only like they're 11 games back from the number 1 seed, which is like fine, but they're identical games back with the Valkyries, and they're only half a game up on the Sparks, and they lost to the Sparks twice recently. So like like it's just like this is a shitty time of year to have a 5-game
Sparks
losing
will own
streak.
that tiebreaker. That Sparks will own that tiebreaker.
Right? Like it's those little things where it's like it doesn't seem like a huge deal, but at the same time, this time of year it is a really big deal. It's
Instead, we
actually
wind
kind
up
of,
playing against like the Lynx in the first round of the playoffs instead
yeah,
of a more
right.
winnable matchup. When you get to the second round, anything can happen. You do not want to face the Lynx in the first round of the playoffs.
No, and obviously you want home court advantage if possible because Seattle does have an element of that, right? Like they have a very passionate fan base, especially when it comes to like the playoffs and things too. So having a home court advantage would be ideal, but here we are. I guess we can finish with my two positives because I haven't gone there yet. So we'll finish on a positive note today. Both of mine are kind of related, but my stock ups are the Minnesota and the Mystics, both their trade deadlines. I'll start with Minnesota, but obviously they picked up Dejounte Carrington, which was a really big kind of surprise, and the fact that they only really had to give up Diamond Miller, which I can't remember if they gave up a pick exactly, but either way, like
Pretty good business.
not really, they didn't do much to get Dejounte, but I also think Dallas. Part of that was the Lynx being smart and seizing on a shitty situation in Dallas where Dejounte was going to ask for a trade this year, probably this offseason, if this didn't happen, to be honest. I don't see her. It was probably going to be an ultimatum in the offseason, like, if they don't get rid of the coach, I'm asking for a trade. So, especially after Melissa Smith got traded, too. I think that there was definitely an element of Dallas kind of had to get rid of her now because otherwise they were going to have absolutely no leverage in a trade situation in the offseason. So, Minnesota picked up Dejounte, and then she immediately went to work and helped them win in her first game. She fits really nicely with what they do, especially with Fee being injured. But even when Fee comes back, it just kind of adds more like long, tough wings to that offense and defense. She plays really well next to Alana Smith. Fee when she comes back. The stud buds are still hooping. It's crazy because since we did the tiers, I think at the time the Liberty were firmly in number one place, and the Lynx were in second in the standings, and now Minnesota is, let me see, 6.5 games up on the Liberty, which is like a pretty solid lead. I think Minnesota's probably taking the number one seed this year. It's going to take like a Herculean
I think
effort
they can call
for
themselves the
any other
favorites
team.
now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because New York and Atlanta are tied at 11 games behind Minnesota, and or sorry, 6.5 games. My bad. They are 6.5 games up on New York and the Dream, and I think that I don't think either team is going to close that gap. It would take a losing streak from Minnesota, which I don't think is going to happen at this time of year, especially. Cheryl Reeve will do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. That team is just too deep for that to happen, I think, anyway. And even without having Fee, I think that they're fine. I mean, let's see. Kayla McBride is still getting buckets. Courtney's still getting buckets. Alana Smith is had a little lesser role this year, but I mean, they have a lot of players who are, if they're not averaging 10 points, they're very close to 10 points. So, and I mean, it's too bad because they got a little older in the sense that they had to give up on a couple prospects like Diamond and Alyssa Peely. They waived her, which was unfortunate, but I think that was also a move that was probably good for those players at the end of the day because it's really hard to be a young player on a roster like this that has expectations, and especially when you're at positions that are ultimately already pretty deep. Yeah. The other one, so I think the Lynx are solidly in first place, and what's even funnier is that they picked up Jalen Sherrod, and she won the title with New York. She was on New York's team last year when they won the championship, so it would be very funny if if the Lynx win and she gets a ring with Minnesota because she would have gotten a ring with the team that she beat and the team she was on to win in the first place. So pretty funny storyline there. But the other team that I was kind of stock up on again, just really high on the Mystics this year in general. It seems like I'm kind of like banging the drum, but their trade deadline, they traded J.C. Sheldon, they traded for J.C. Sheldon by trading away Aaliyah Edwards, which that move had been pretty widely discussed because Iriafen essentially stole her job, which is too bad for Aaliyah, but also it was just a tough situation. I don't think the Mystics exactly expected to be in this position. I knew they obviously had tons of confidence in getting Iriafen, but I don't think they expected her to immediately be this good. And I think there was some hope that they could all, Shakira Austin, Iriafen, and Aaliyah Edwards could all play together, but Aaliyah was hurt for a big chunk of the beginning of the year and just hasn't found her footing yet this year. And I just think the situation in Washington was not ideal, plus Washington needs a lot more guard help since they traded away Brittany Sykes, which I didn't love that move necessarily. from a just like fan perspective. She was just so
Mhm.
fun on that team, especially because she just was such the perfect vet for those young players. And so that kind of sucks, but JC Sheldon's a really great pickup for them because she's a nice young guard prospect who I think fits really well with what they do. So if anything, to be honest, it was a bit of a win-win trade for Connecticut and Washington because Connecticut gets another young player who clearly showed something in her rookie season, and Tina Charles obviously is not young, so it's a nice little segue into the future for them, and they're kind of a weird experiment. So having a player like her, it's like a good flyer kind of thing. So those are kind of my stock ups, but yeah, I don't know. There's some interesting stuff happening in the league, but at this point, I think there's no more player transactions really allowed. So it'll be interesting to see what these rosters do for the last chunk of the season. Because when do the playoffs actually?
I think the last, so off the top of my head, I remember the Mercury's last regular season game was like September 11th, so the playoffs are probably like a few days after that.
Yeah, it looks like September 11th is the last day of the regular season because Golden State, everyone's last games are on. Looks like because the Lynx play the Valkyries on the last day, which will be very interesting. Um, yeah, so I guess we have about a month left in the season, so we'll see what these rosters do. I'm sure there'll be more movement in the standings. The Lynx seem like the Aces seem like they're surging. And the Storm, I don't know. Do you think the Storm might fall out of the playoffs or if they get it together?
Say for the 8th, I think we could see some major changes in Seattle next year. 8th specifically, because the Lynx would dog walk them in the first round.
Destroy
I
them.
think, yeah.
I think Noelle Quinn is on the hot seat. The team, well, among the team just obviously not gelling the way it's supposed to. Obviously, there was like a huge, multiple investigations into like the coaching staff and just practices in Seattle. And even though the WNBA said it found nothing, there was obviously some stuff going on. Jewel Lloyd's been very public about it, amongst other things. So there's obviously something going on there, and I feel like Noelle Quinn is her time potentially is numbered. Her days are potentially numbered there. But yeah, with that, do you want to move on to the wine power ranking?
Might as well. The wine is starting to kick in as at least the one I'm drinking right now. So
All right. Well, I'm gonna share my screen and we'll pull up. I have a Google Docs open. How we can rank these bad boys. Do you have the list in front of you? It's in the.
yeah, it's in the chat. It's been quite a few wines now.
We are up to 25 now, including this one. So, looks like France is our most consumed country. But where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the bottom or at the top?
Uh,
Because I can definitely, with confidence, tell you what the worst wine for me
you
was.
know what your worst one is? All right, we need to start with that then, because I'm curious what your worst one is.
My worst one by far was the Romanian wine that I had. The
Oh yeah, I forgot we had different Romanian wines because we couldn't
Yeah,
lock
that
down the
was
same one.
so. That's the other thing. A couple of these, few things we've had a couple different wines. So, but yeah, mine was by far the worst. That was by far the worst wine for me in terms of enjoyability, which is I think how we're probably going to rank these. So, um,
Mine was definitely in the bottom like fifth for sure, but I did like mine a decent amount. It wasn't bad.
all right, that was definitely worst. How did you feel about the? I'm just looking here quickly at our list, but I would say probably after that, the other kind of one for me might have been the either the Erath Pinot Noir or the that Grinder Pinotage. The Grinder was just weird. I don't know how I feel about it. Still unsure. I'm not sure it was the
Irath
second
wasn't
worst
great.
wine we had, but sorry.
I don't think the Irath was great, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think I might put that here because I don't think that the Grinder was like that bad, but it was also just a strange wine that I didn't super love. But Erath I wasn't wild about by any means, so we'll put that there for now. We can always adjust these. Obviously, it's a power ranking. Then I'm gonna put the Grinder.
I'm admittedly not a big Beaujolais person.
No, fair enough.
I think I liked it well enough though.
20. Just looking really quickly. Honestly, the goats do roam. I might put down here. It was all right. Actually, you said your Romanian was bottom five, right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I'd probably put it. I think I probably liked Grinder
Here?
more than I liked it, but
Okay, we can
yeah,
change that.
Pinotage was kind of cool. That was my first time ever having a Pinotage, I think, too.
Me too. It's not that it was bad. It was just from an enjoyability standpoint. It was a really intense wine to drink without food. Like it had a lot going on, kind of flavor. I remember it being very like coffee heavy, which was interesting. And someone described South African wine to me as really raw, and I kind of got it when I had that one. Romania. Sorry, Romania, not doing so hot there. Um, what was gonna go here again? Actually, no. I'm gonna put Goats Do Roam here because I think I liked the grinder better than that one's too. All right. Does that look so good to you so far? Is that looking about
Yeah,
right?
I think that's
All
fair.
right.
I think I probably have the Gruner Veltliner, kind of low too. I think below the Grinder.
You you didn't have that one. You weren't drinking
Did
that
I?
episode. That was just me.
Was I
No, that was
not?
just me. No, you weren't.
Wait, what
That
was
was
I
just
thinking
me.
of? What phone was I thinking of? Oh, I'm
Was it
thinking
the
of the
Sauv
Gewürztraminer
Blanc?
Marina. I'm
The
thinking of the
Gewurz? Yep.
Gewürztraminer.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I disagree with that one, but that's fair. I
I
respect
know you
it.
do.
It
Yeah, for
wasn't
sure.
it wasn't the best one though, to be fair. I've had much better, so like I'm cool with it putting it here. That's fine. Was not one of the best ones we've had.
As much as I've
Uh,
joked about this, I don't think this is actually going to go in the top five. But Jay Harden Cabernet Sauvignon is probably next for me.
I was just about to say I would actually probably put that here. Like it
Yeah.
was fine, but it wasn't by far. It's not something I'm like super pumped to come back to.
Yeah, it was a very like if you brought this to a party, nobody's gonna be unhappy with you. Like everyone would drink this kind of wine, but I wouldn't like if I was picking a wine for myself at home, it's not what
Yeah.
I would go for. But if I was just like, man, we got 10 people here, they have varying amounts of into wine or not into wine. You bring that J Harden one. I don't think anybody's gonna be like, wow, this sucks. Like it was pretty decent. Like I was not mad at it at all. Honestly, I don't think a single wine that I've had recording this podcast has been bad. It's all been various levels of like okay to great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree. Um, I would say probably here I would put the Campo Viejo, the Rioja we had, the Tempranillo.
Okay.
Or that, or actually, maybe either that, the Cannonball, or the Beaujolais. The Beaujolais was fine, but I've had much better. Uh, what do you think?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
The the Campo Viejo or the
I would say the Beaujolais below the Cabernet.
okay, so we'll go Beaujolais here. And then we'll go Campo Viejo. That seems right.
I think. Did I have the
The Cannon,
popcorn and you had the
you had the
Cannonball? I think.
popcorn, and I had the Kim Crawford, which is whatever. Um, Honestly, I'd probably put the Cannonball here. Was that seem fair to you?
I think
It was
that's
like a
fair.
little better than Harden, but not much different.
I'm not like a huge Cabernet Sauvignon person anyway, to be frank. Although there's a lot of
I
wines
would,
I like that have Cabernet Sauvignon in it, I'm not like a big like I need to drink cabs guy.
more of a blend guy. I respect that.
I
I'm
think
gonna put
so.
the
I
Kim
think so.
Crawford.
I'm the
Eh,
opposite with wine that I am with like whiskey, where I'm like I want single malt scotches and shit, and single malt whiskeys and whatever. I think
hmm,
wine I do enjoy a nice little blend.
a bit more
Multi
of a blend.
grape.
Fair enough. Would you put the popcorn here then, or how did you feel about popcorn?
I remember liking the popcorn, but I don't think I was like blown away by it. But it was pretty cool.
Okay. What are you feeling for here? I'm feeling maybe like um
I think I
honestly I'm
kind
just
of
gonna
like the
put the Kim.
Stonely, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stone Lee and Kim Crawford probably here for me. You didn't have the Kim Crawford, but I did.
Yeah, I do.
Not
I
that
do appreciate the Sauvignon Blanc that they have out in New Zealand. And by the way, it appearing this late on the list, I'm defeating the allegations that I never drink white wines. I do enjoy them from time to time.
exactly. Here I would probably put the Gerard Bertrand rosé. It was fine, but not my style. I don't know about you, how you're feeling. Um,
I think that's pretty fair. This is actually, I mean, now that we're at like 14, we're getting pretty close to top 10. So I think like we're at stuff that we liked a pretty good amount. I'm kind of sad that I wasn't around for the that I wasn't able to get in that port. I see that with the star on the list that was just you drinking, and I'm like, man, I kind of want to get on that at some point, maybe just on my own.
yeah, I'll put stars actually next to the ones that we drank
I
separately
haven't had
because
port in a minute. I haven't had port in a very long time.
if you like port, you would have liked it. Um,
It's something
just
I never buy, but every time I have it, I enjoy it. I feel like maybe I should get more. You know what I mean? But every time I've tried
for
port, I'm like,
sure.
wow, this is a nice little experience.
Where would you put the cannonball? So, okay, these are the wines we have left on the list. We have the Willem Pinot Gris, the Gerard Bertrand Rosé, Chateau Timberlake Bordeaux, Two Hands Gnarly Dudes Shiraz, the Gruner Veltliner that I had, the very first wine we did, which was the Famille Perron Côte de Rhône, and then we've got the Ruffino Prosecco Rosé, the Inniskillen Ice Wine, and Popcorn Cab, and then the Carmenere.
I think I feel pretty comfortable putting the popcorn and then Carmenere, maybe like here. I remember liking them both, but I don't think I would put them among like the best of the best that we've had.
Yeah,
Because I've
no,
eyeballing a couple of
definitely.
these where I'm like, these, I can see a few that are probably going to go near the top. Like the Cote d'Ivoire's probably going to be near the top.
Pop Popcorn was California, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
we haven't
I hope so.
we haven't got where are you thinking about the Inniskilling, the ice wine?
So the port and the ice wine are weird ones because they're different types. Like they're not traditional, like just table wine, you know. So those ones are kind of tough for me. I feel like I liked them in terms of being in the top 10, but they're not going to be in the top five, if that kind of makes sense. Is that your vibe a little bit, or how are you feeling about it?
Like an all-star, but not a franchise player, not a
Yeah,
superstar type of
yeah,
situation.
like solid role player. Where?
You're
What
not
are you
gonna build
feeling
around
about the
you're not gonna
Pinot?
build around them, but they'll make the all-star team. You know what I mean? Like they'll put a 20 in a
Yeah,
game, but they're not gonna win you a championship.
100%. What are you feeling about the Pinot Gris? Because you're not really a white kind of guy. Actually, right here, I'm gonna put the Gruner Veltliner. Because actually, no, I'm not. That one's better. I think the Pinot
Not
Gris could
really,
go here.
not really being a white kind of guy has locked me out of a lot of opportunities in life. I would say I think
Yeah.
I actually really like the Pinot Gris. Um, actually, yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That's a wine that I don't come across that often, like especially from like at bars and stuff like that. But Pinot Gris is some good shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Um,
I think this is a pretty good spot
Personally,
for it.
I think the Bordeaux goes here. I think. But actually, I could also move
The
it down. To be honest, I could move it
the
to like
Timberlake.
I could personally. I don't know. I wasn't like it was fine, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's not a bottle I ended up finishing.
Yeah,
That doesn't necessarily mean anything though. I could definitely move it like either below the popcorn, like more towards the Kim Crawford Stone Lee kind of vibe, or I don't know. Where are you feeling for that one?
I think this is a pretty good spot for
Here?
that one.
Okay.
I was trying to locate on the list the wine that I had during the when we both drank different wines last episode.
It's not. It's in the. I added it to the chat.
Oh,
It's
there we go. I see it at the end.
the
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. I feel like that one
Right.
can probably go pretty high because it seems like that was a good one.
That might be my number one.
I
Like that shit was really good. If I didn't have more stuff to do that night, I might have killed that whole bottle. Which,
fair
by the
enough.
way, I think we've as a unit showed more restraint than we did in the early episodes and also in the previous pod. There was somewhere where I was like, I fucked up the whole bottle like multiple episodes in a row.
It's dependent on the wine for me and how much I have
Yeah,
to do after
yeah,
we record. Some of that hasn't
yeah,
exactly been restraint on our part because we wanted to. It's just knowing of like when we're recording. There's other shit we have to do today.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're into the top 10 now. So I would put that Gruner was incredibly good. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna put that here. Although,
Okay.
okay, how did you feel? Actually, first, how did you feel about the Gerard Bertrand Rosé? Do you feel like it's a top 10 wine?
I I think at the back end of the top 10, I don't think it's like top five,
So,
but
like here, maybe like at
yeah,
10.
I think
Yeah,
it's a good
because
spot.
I
You like the Veltliner a lot, right?
I did, and I mean, part of the reason I had any of that even left because I actually took that from a restaurant when I ordered the whole bottle and I took it with me.
Mhm.
And The only reason I did is because I just like physically could. I was too full because I'd eaten a big meal to actually finish it because it was
Yeah,
really good. So I'm gonna put it here just because you didn't actually have it.
totally fine. I mean, I'm so enamored with the one that I had solo that I'm willing to put it like top two. Like I like that shit a lot.
I haven't tried that one specifically, but I like Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, so like I'm cool with that. Where would we put? Okay, so hold on.
Oh,
All right,
there's a
so
pick that
on
we haven't gotten to yet that's very me, and I'm like, I don't know if you're
the
gonna want to
Shiraz.
adjust it out of the top 10. Yeah,
No, that's for sure a top 10 wine for me. I was really impressed with that wine. I
yeah,
really, really liked it. So for
yeah,
me, that's a top five.
yeah.
So what we have left here, we've got the port, the Cab Franc ice wine, the Pinot Gris, the Shiraz, what we drank last time, which for me was an Italian rosé, you the Montepulciano, and then we have the
Mhm.
Malbec.
I think I think this Malbec might go right around here.
I would agree with that.
I feel pretty comfortable with the eight spot. I really enjoyed it. I'm a pretty good amount into this bottle. I don't know how much it shows on camera with lighting, but it's been a festive early evening for me. So
that, sorry, one second. Just making a note for myself to come back. Uh, all right, and then we've got this Catena. Okay. All right, yeah, I put the Malbec here. It's decent. Not sure I'd necessarily go out of my. Again, just personally, for some reason, Malbec is like not my thing exactly, but I do quite like this one actually.
also some fun artwork on the front of the bottle. Some good shit.
Yeah, and I really do appreciate the high mountain vine thing. I think that's really interesting, especially because um, Argentina's wine industry is so known for the altitude, obviously. Okay, so now 7. Do you want to do? Okay, where would you rate the ice? Oh wait, we also have the Ruffino Prosecco. I forgot about that one. So the Prosecco Rosé we did. For me, that's like a top fiver because that was we both drank the entire bottle. It was delicious,
Yeah, yeah.
and I would easily crush another one at any given point, personally. So
I
that can be top
think
five. So we have 2 wines here before we're into the top five. So
I think I might go Enniskillen and then maybe the Pinot Gris.
yeah, I could fuck with that. Inniskillen, by the way, is having it's a 50th year anniversary this year.
I wish I could be at the party, but I know I'm not invited.
I mean, there probably is actually going to be a public thing at the winery in Niagara. I'll let you know.
Oh, I gotta go to Buffalo twice this month, so
I don't know.
I
I
won't
don't know.
be able to drive after that, but
I don't know
I might
when
be able to
it'll
pick up a
be. So
bottle.
I don't know when it'll be, but I'll let you know if they're having any kind of events at the winery. And then you said the Pinot Gris here at 6.
Yeah. I did do a tour at a place that did ice wine when I went to Niagara a while back. I went to Niagara on the Lake, and I got myself a bottle of wine that is shaped like a hockey player. So I am. They might as well just give me permanent residence after that. Like I don't understand how they didn't. It's crazy to me that I still have to be on a visa.
Okay, so for the top, we're into the top 5. Also, we forgot one, but I feel like that's fine because this will probably be a top 5 because we both love this. So we've got the Villa Antinori Tuscan, the Super Tuscan. Forgot to
Yep.
mention that.
Yep.
So we got
Easy
Villa
top five.
Antinori, yeah. The Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, the rosé that I had, the Italian rosé I had. Shiraz, Cote d'Aron. Wait, we have 6 wines left. Did I miscount? Yes, because I had the. Oh, that's why the Romanians on my first list. I had them like in the same number. So we have a few more wines left.
You had the
Um,
Fiori di San Gregorio on the Rosata on yours. On
yeah,
24. I don't think we got to that one.
no. So that's the Italian rosé. That was really good. I'd actually
Yeah.
probably put it here to be honest.
Oh,
But we
shit.
also still have the Willow Park, this big account that I deal with, they have a rosé festival every
Hmm.
year, and that is consistently like the best selling rosé that they have at the festival. And I get it because it was real good. Yeah, I'll put it here. So then we've got the Cote d'Aron, the Ruffino Prosecco Rosé, the Montepulciano,
Hmm.
and the Shiraz.
I feel like I'm
That's
gonna
all that's
go with
left.
the rosé in four.
The Prosecco. Yep. Oh, we also have
Yeah.
we put the Cab Franc. We have the port technically left too.
Ooh, where would you put the port? Will the numbers automatically
Um,
adjust on Google Docs, or will it like freak out? I
we're
think it'll
gonna
adjust
find out.
automatically, right? If you
I
like add a
fucking hope
space in
so.
between, I think it'll automatically adjust.
I really hope so because I'm lazy. Um,
If one of them got to be number zero, that's fine.
yeah. Okay, we put that there. So the Prosecco there. I'm gonna rank the port later because I can't really decide.
Yeah.
So okay, here I would probably put the. I think we can probably safely say we're on the same page for the one. So here
Hmm.
I'd probably put Montepulciano or
Yeah, I could
Riesling.
drop that there for sure. Yeah, that shit was lovely. I'd had that shit for sitting around for a few years, so it took a minute to open up. When I cracked that bottle open, but man, it was
Yeah,
real nice when I got some air in it. Like I was really impressed. I was like, damn, look at me, good taste. I'm glad I bought this shit back in the day.
Where would you put the Super Tuscan? So we've got the Super Tuscan, the CDR, and the Shiraz left. So we're gonna have to add a number here.
I think I might go. I might go with the Shiraz here.
Okay, I was gonna put that as our number one. To be honest, I had a feeling that might be
Oh,
it, but all right.
interesting. Okay, I figured you might want the. I figured you were going to cut your own one.
Nah, not necessarily, but Australia. Okay. So we got Super Tuscan
Yeah.
and CDR, and the Cote de Rhone. Personally, I would put the Super Tuscan here and the Cote de Rhone first, but I like all of them.
Yeah, we might have. I was considering going the opposite direction, but I think the Côte d'Or might really be number one. Like it was some really good shit. That's such a fucking incredible wine style too, man. The region is phenomenal.
I don't think I've had a GSM that I didn't like, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Like, I am struggling to find one that is. I'm sure there are bad ones, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
Google.
after a really nice run in the top five by Italy, France managed to take number one. A lot of appearances in the top 25 for the French. Taking number one spot will, if you're weighting it on aggregate score, Italy wins this one, but I think France will take a lot of pride in knowing they got the top spot.
Yeah. Um,
Wow, you can just type in get the French accent marks and shit. That's pretty cool, man. I do not know how to do
okay,
that.
so the port I would probably put. Actually, you know what? I would probably put the port right around where the ice wine was. Um,
Okay.
is I'm gonna have to redo this because it's all reversed, but that's okay. We're just gonna put the port in here. You would have liked this port. I don't know if you're more of a have the ports you had been mostly like more tawny port?
I think every single one has been a Tony Port.
Yeah, so the late bottle vintage that I had, this particular port, okay, is definitely like way more fruity, kind of. It just tastes like, I don't know, like really like ripe red fruits. It was really nice. Kind of like the ice wine, how it was like kind of, like fruity, like for a Cab Franc, because it's just like sweeter. So,
Mm.
yeah, all right. Well, I'm gonna unshare my screen for a hot second and then retype this. But it's funny because there's only one North American wine in the top 10,
Top 10. Yeah.
and almost all of it is, with the exception of Argentina and Italy or and Australia, everything is old world. So I'm gonna turn this into a nicer graphic. We'll post it on Instagram too so people can see it. But um, as we
A
go,
big
we're
part
gonna
of that has
add our
been
wines.
the difficulty in access to American wines as of late. It's made it a little bit more complicated, but we can always
It is,
hit more Australian. We can always hit more
but I
South
also
American
think
as well too.
another challenge that I think we've faced a little as well is actually just the difference between like the liquor markets that we're buying in. So the fact too that like because there's been a ton of like unfortunately the selection at LCBO has been, I mean, like you said, now there is no American product, but when there was, even the overlap between what's available and what's not versus provinces is very interesting because like Alberta is a very heavy California market. Like here, like
Hmm.
Albertans love Napa Cab. Like we eat that shit up. Like we love it. And so there's a lot of options for California Cab. Whereas I definitely found the overlap between the two places only really worked when it was like really big brands like
Hmm.
Cannonball, Tom Gore, J Lord, Josh, like the really big
Five
volume
stars.
wineries that aren't
Yeah.
necessarily like the top quality cab you're gonna get. So I definitely noticed that was a bit of a problem, especially for price point that we're usually kind of operating in. Like we usually operate around the $20 range just because no one's paying us for this podcast and we like to drink wine, but you know, we're also like adults with budgets. So this is a great it's also a good
It's
way to
good for the
find what's
audience
best
too,
value for money.
honestly. I think it's good for the
Sorry?
audience too because like I think
Yeah.
it's also good for the audience because like if we're all here recommending $200 bottles of wine, like how many people can we really reach with that? You know, ain't but so many people who can afford that on a regular basis.
No, absolutely. So like it's kind of nice because you know, you watch like the podcast that um what's his face LeBron does with he's now doing it with Steve Nash, but when he was doing it with uh
Yeah, Reddit.
JJ Redick, it's like you know the wines they're drinking are not accessible to most of us.
Yeah, I can't afford that shit.
Yeah, right. And so it is kind of a nice like I agree with what you said. It's a good for our audience too to also kind of. But these are also wines that are also largely accessible to most people. I would say, especially even in the United States, these are pretty big brands. Um, so I think that helps. But I would definitely say, in terms of at least California or like American wine, because even when it comes to Oregon, like there is well, part of the issue with Oregon is price.
Man.
Very few good Oregon wines are in our price range currently, which is fine, but just a reality.
And a lot of the states that have wines that aren't California or Oregon, a lot of that stuff just not available in Canada. Or at
Yeah,
least not without like really doing like import because like I've had wines that were pretty good from like Arizona. I've had really good wines from Washington State. I don't think I've seen more than like two or three Washington State wines in Ontario. They may be readily available in British Columbia, but they're pretty uncommon where I'm at in Canada right now. So
they're actually pretty reasonably available in Alberta. We, again, tend to like import wine. So California is still king, but the Pacific Northwest is getting a lot more love for sure. So I would say um, that's it. But honestly, South America has also become quite popular here.
yeah,
Uh, but again, it's some of it is just some of the things we've chosen have been partially out of like not forced, but it's because that's the only thing that LCBO and the AGLC imported. Um, so it is a reality of that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, and in terms of the reason we haven't done more Canadian wine is not because it's not good, because that's not true, but um, also a geography problem because what's available in Ontario for Canadian wine is very different.
Niagara.
It's Niagara VQA, which is not the appellation, whereas in Alberta we get British Columbia VQA, and even though they might be the exact same brand, they taste incredibly different. And so that definitely changes things. So it's kind of one of those things where we have done different wines and maybe we do that. We can do like kind of a comparison, but it's easier to just not in some cases. Also, to some extent, price point. Canadian wine can be a little bit pricey for no reason other than it's just a very small industry. But that is definitely a challenge. But I will say it's pretty fun doing this every week. It's been really fun trying to pick the pairings, and sometimes they're maybe a little less. Oops, um, they're deeper pulls, or they're maybe just kind of low hanging fruit because we're like, it's a lazy, easy one. We're like, this fits
Yeah.
perfectly. But it has been pretty fun trying to, I don't know, like for me especially, doing kind of like a pairing situation with just like that's not food, right? Because those are the natural kind of wine pairings that you get to experience in my work world. And so it's very fun to play around with pairings that are not at all
Snack.
related to food, right? It's yeah, it's like a vibe or a, something like that. the first time I did that was when I wrote that article about the pairing a wine with every NBA team. And this has been basically just a giant extension of that, but in kind of a more fun way because trying to pair wine with like a topic is really, I don't know, it's an interesting, um, it's an interesting exercise every time.
I think also in general we want to like have a wine that's better than like a barefoot bubbly or whatever, but and like a little more adventurous and less obvious than like a J Lore or like one of the big,
Yeah,
super big brands that you see in every store. But at the same time, not pick something that's super hard to find where you're gonna have to hunt for a specific shop to get it, or we're gonna have to pay a bunch of money to get it. Like it's something that like is accessible, but like it's actually like oh maybe surprising or like pretty cool or pretty good that you hadn't had before. Or that a lot
which
of
that
times we haven't had before. We haven't had a lot of these wines that we've done
Yeah,
these
no.
episodes.
And for me, so I mean, as I've mentioned previously, probably too much. I work for a wine company and I work in this industry, and like one challenge that is very common when you do that is you obviously drink your own product, the stuff you sell. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're incentivized to do so. I get a product allowance, so I'm allowed to spend up to a certain amount of money on wine every year and expense it back to my company, which is like a really awesome perk. But it also kind of de incentivizes you to drink other people's product. And it doesn't really make you a well rounded um, wine drinker when you do that because you just get accustomed to the only things you kind of have, right? So um, I have enjoyed this as an experience to try new things for sure. And yeah, like you said, try and, I don't know, find different stuff. But the one challenge I've certainly faced with the LCBO situation is the point you just made about trying to find like new and interesting things that aren't necessarily just your big brands. Is that in some cases, like California, was that before LCBO pulled everything, they only had those big brands. And so you're trying to find like the smallest of the big brands, if that makes sense. But it's also
Mm.
not a bad thing to revisit those big brands because in some cases, for me, that's like my direct competition. So it's good to taste those things, right? Those are things I have to sell wine against. So it's good for me to know what they taste like. And it's also fine for me to like them. So it's nice to try those things. And this has been a really fun way to do that. I'm just going to quickly reshare because I retyped it all. So here's the full list. So France is king. I think we had the most French wine out of any country we've drank from.
Yep.
Last time I counted, France was. Italy might have actually though come in because we both did Italian wines last time.
Really was heavy in the top 10 for sure.
French wines? That doesn't seem right. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 5. We have 6 French wine. We have. I guess we only have what? That doesn't. We only have 3 Italian wines. Never mind. That's doesn't seem right.
Three? No, no, there's more. There's like three in the top
Um,
five.
yeah, but then where are the other ones? Because I'm not seeing them here.
The Italian ones?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
think we
reversed the
just.
order.
Yeah, I put them back in proper order. I think there's only 3 Italian wines. They just all happen to be in the
Damn,
top
they're just they're
5.
just batting they're just batting 1,000 there. Like everything
Yeah,
they put out has been.
they're just crushing it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, hey, Australia, look at you go. You only have one entry in the entire list, and you're in the top 3. Um,
yeah. When we do pick an Italian wine, it has gone well.
has gone well for us, generally speaking. France has been a little more hit and miss, but still, generally speaking, within the top 15. So
Yeah,
there's only one that's below, 2 that's below that, I guess. Mm. So yeah, that's pretty funny actually. It is really like part of the reason I wanted to do this exercise though, I'm gonna stop sharing now, was actually just because I was curious to like line up everything we've done. Because we've actually
yeah.
done more than I thought. It doesn't feel like we've had that many episodes or done that many wines, but listing them, it's like, oh actually there's a lot more than I thought. So that's been a fun experience. So yeah, appreciate you doing this with me. And we're also coming
Heck
up on our
yeah.
1 year anniversary of the podcast. So next episode maybe we'll do something special because it's been a whole year since we launched this little project. So
Gotta savor a couple of bottles next episode.
yeah, maybe we should bust out some Brunello.
Shit. I Let me see what I have at home. I might have something interesting. I don't think I have a
Okay.
Brunello, but I might have something cool.
Well, we'll figure something out. But any final thoughts on the wines, the WNBA? There was actually one thing I wanted to bring up. We can do it real quick because we're definitely over time. But Shout out to Ireland for trying to find a solution to not have to play Israel in Eurobasket.
Yep.
Ireland has always traditionally, for those who are unaware, Ireland as a country has been one of the only countries outside of the Middle East, frankly, that has supported Palestinian statehood and like just Palestine in general
Yep.
forever. I'm pretty sure Ireland's been on that train for like 70 years too. The Irish women's basketball team, they have been drawn against their draw first game. They're in a pool with Israel. Israel, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I missed who the other country was. I can't remember, but they're in a pool with Israel, and they released a statement saying today that they're trying to find a solution to playing them because they don't want to withdraw because that would mean they can't actually. That would just be like an automatic elimination from the tournament, essentially, plus
Fines
a
are
massive
crazy
fine.
too. Yep.
Yeah, it was like 30,000 euros, and then a possible another fine. And even if Israel if they forfeit, same problem. So they petitioned to FIBA to figure something out. I have a feeling they're going to have to play the game, and they're probably going to do some other kind of protest, which is what it is. I think FIBA is the problem here for even having Israel in the tournament or in Euro anything, because that's just a geography thing that's weird. But
Yeah, it's kind of it doesn't border any European countries.
not
We could
even.
explore why they're considered to be part of Europe. If somebody's so inclined, I think we know why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we'll let everyone read into that themselves, but I'm pretty sure that they can tell why. I think we all
Yeah,
know. It's pretty
yeah,
obvious,
yeah.
unfortunately. But I appreciate it. I'm actually going to pull it up really quickly.
Yeah, they give
They
hit pretty
came up,
heavy fines, unfortunately. It's like 100,000, 80,000 for the first game. They could get removed from qualifiers, and they're like, nah, man, we need to find a way to
yeah,
work this shit out.
and they have never. Oh, yeah, so they will have to play them. So this report just came up again. Go. I don't want your newsletter. Go away. So it says that Basketball Ireland has confirmed the national team, women's team, will compete in its scheduled qualifiers against Israel, Eurobasket 2027. The fuck? Okay. Anyway, this decision follows weeks of internal deliberation and pressure from the Sports International Authority. The decision comes despite widespread outrage over the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza and internal debate about the ethicality of facing Israel in a competition. So, in a statement, Basketball Ireland said it had arrived at the decision after, quote, lengthy and careful consideration, noting that the governing body had explored all options, including a potential withdrawal from the qualifiers. The final decision, however, was heavily influenced by the threat of serious sanctions from FIBA Europe, the continent's basketball authority. FIBA made it so, quote, FIBA Europe made it clear that refusing to play would lead to sanctions that could seriously damage Irish basketball, particularly the women's game, which is still rebuilding after a 14-year absence from the international stage. The Irish Federation said it would only agree to face Israel at neutral venues and has already communicated this stipulation to FIBA. Ireland is scheduled to meet Israel in an away fixture on November 18th, with a return game slated for 2026. Had Ireland refused to play, the team would have faced immediate financial penalties, including a fine of 80,000 euros for missing the November fixture and a further 100,000 euros for skipping the return game. They also risked being excluded from the 2027 and 2029 Eurobasket qualification campaigns. This reignites tensions first sparked during a February 2024 Eurobasket qualifier when Irish players staged a silent protest by refusing to shake hands with Israeli counterparts or stand for the national anthem. The protest drew criticism from Israel's camp, including accusations of anti-Semitism from Israeli guard Dor Sar, remarks that Basketball Ireland deemed, quote, inflammatory and wholly inaccurate, which is, I'm with Ireland on that one, and reported to FIBA. The governing body later issued a warning to the Irish Federation. Feehan, the head of Irish basketball, stressed that while the Federation has strong humanitarian concerns regarding the situation in Gaza, its hands are tied when it comes to sport governance, which is a fair. Ireland's in an impossible position here, to be honest. There's been no change in Israel's status within the international sport, as confirmed by FIBA Europe, the International Olympic Committee, and other governing bodies, he said. So their group also includes Luxembourg and Bosnia. Yeah, so that was in the Irish Post that came out about 12 hours ago. So I feel bad for Ireland. They're in a pretty impossible position. I think this just highlights the shittiness of the situation with FIBA continuing to allow Israel to compete and the IOC, because Israel was at the Olympics when they probably shouldn't have been. And I don't know. I think it's really hypocritical. One, because, I mean, there's obviously a genocide happening It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But two, I think it's just really hypocritical because we've banned Russian teams and Russia as a whole from international competition for myriad reasons. One being doping, but the other, obviously, the war in Ukraine, and Europe is pissed about, and everyone's pissed about that. And it's a fair thing to be mad about. But I think it's really just like hypocritical is like the only word you can use, and there's worse you can use to describe like the fact that Israel somehow has avoided any kind of repercussions. It had to be the African nations and like other Middle Eastern nations who even petitioned at the International Criminal Court for sanctions. And I mean, like Canada only just dropped aid into Gaza like the other day and instead, but then continues to sell arms. So it's like, it's very frustrating because no other country has stood up to say anything. And if anything, everyone, especially around the basketball community, has been too scared to say anything. And it's kind of like obvious
There's
what's
been very
happening. I mean,
little
Israel,
said. Very little.
yeah,
It's soccer.
the,
Soccer's been the same way. Soccer's been the same way.
yep, except Mo
FIFA's
Safa or
basically
Mo Salah.
FIFA's let Israel play. Basically in every competition. There's been no kind of denial of them whatsoever. Whereas obviously Russia's gotten it, which is you know the old Red Scare shit apparently overpowers the need for like people being starved to death and ethnic
Yeah.
cleanse and shit. So
And like, it's not to deny that Russia's committing war crimes in Ukraine, but at the same
yeah,
time,
yeah,
you can't have it. You just can't do that. You can't. I don't know. If you're gonna have, you got to keep the same energy for everybody here. You know.
yeah.
The only discourse in basketball so far that's happened has been Pat Bev being on his podcast saying that Israel's not that bad.
It's like a vacation, he said. I think like
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, he's like living in a tropical paradise, and then being shocked when he got feet like lash people lashed out at him for that. Um, Israeli teams picking up American players and American players agreeing, oh, international players agreeing to go, and Danny Avdia from the like Trailblazers. He's the only Israeli player, and I believe only Jewish player in the NBA, and he has
Few more
been
now. The
asked.
Nets drafted somebody from Israel, I believe.
They drafted a Russian.
I think the
I don't
Nets
know
drafted
about
a
an
Jewish
Israeli.
player for sure, for sure, for sure.
Maybe, but he could. I don't know if he was the Russian guy or if it was another guy, but it doesn't matter. Avdia is, I'm pretty sure, the only Israeli player in the NBA.
Oh, Israeli
And
American Ben Saraf, general
oh, okay,
admits.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I did not know him, but as Denny Avdia, at least till now, has been the only Israeli player in the NBA, and he's been interviewed about it in relation to the October 7th attack, which we can all agree was horrifying and bad. Uh, but he's kind of doubled down on some stuff, and it's just like I don't blame him for being patriotic, but I also do blame a little bit of the media for being a little bit too willing to just ask him the easy questions and make it like a kind of a puff piece, if anything, like
mhm,
rather than just diving into like the actual issue. But like, and I don't expect. I know it is sports, and like we don't have to talk about serious issues all the time, and like it's a bit of a bummer and all that stuff. But I do think that the systematic elimination of an entire people is probably something we should talk about, and also when it relates to our sport, when we're very quick to talk about the NBA and all the stuff it does for human rights and civil justice in the United States, but then all the stuff it does outside. You know what I mean? Like players are very quick to talk about those things, and I get it because it's closer to home and it is important to talk about those things. But I think also like their brands are so international, the NBA is so international that I think there needs to be a little more like awareness. I don't think that you can hide behind the fact that you're an American and you don't live in those places. You can't hide behind that. Like it's all over the internet, Especially like players like Natasha Cloud in the WNBA have been talking about this for ages, right? They've been on this for a long time. So there's proof that you can have a mind outside of just where you live, right? Like human rights matter everywhere. So it's all connected at the end of the day. And I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because I was kind of feeling bad for the Irish team because I think they're in a really shitty position. I don't blame those players or the federation for not wanting to play them, but I also don't blame them for feeling like they have to because those fines are insane. And, having been out of international basketball really for like 15 years,
for
I
over a
understand the
decade.
need
Yeah,
to want to get back, right? And it's not fair to those players to have to it's just not fair to have to put that on them. It's FIBA's problem for allowing this to even be a problem, I guess. I don't know. So, kind of a heavy way to end the podcast, but I just really wanted to bring that up because I thought it was important. So, on that note, anything else you would like to put out there?
On a slightly lighter note, we did talk about Belgium and their surprising status as a European basketball powerhouse. We got an actual pro player from Belgium over at Kansas State, and we have the U20 European champion of Spain on our team now. So Kansas State women's basketball, Natty incoming, 26 March Madness. Look out.
Yeah, like you said, the whole state of Kansas is going to be learning other European languages, Spanish
Oh,
and
everyone's gonna be speaking
potentially Dutch
Flemish
or
and
Flemish.
Spanish. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's all.
Maybe some Dutch. Not really sure if she's a Flemish or Dutch speaker, but like, yeah,
Maybe even a little bit of French. We'll see. I might allow it.
maybe.
Yeah.
Feeling spicy. Yeah. We only allow France in the conversation when it's basketball or wine. Beyond that, sorry.
The Belgians actually have a word for the number 80. So shout out, not 80, for 90 and 70. Shout out to them. Shout out to Belgium.
We're not just making you do math.
No, yeah, you're not doing equations.
Yeah.
There's an actual number for it.
Yeah. Shout out Belgium. Speaking of Belgians, Emma Miesemann officially back in the league. We talked about that last episode, but she's
Yep.
played now. She's officially on the court, and it is very cute. As much as I hate that she went to the Liberty, it's very cute seeing her back with Natasha Cloud because they played together and won a championship together. So that's been kind of fun.
I got to see her in person in her first game of the team. She is a lot bigger than I realized she was. I didn't realize she was
Yeah.
a really huge
Yeah,
person.
yeah. I'm jealous. I got to see her play in Chicago because we went the year after they won the title. So she was on the Sky on that team that tried to run it back with Emma Miesemann. Unfortunately, didn't go anywhere, but it was really fun getting to see Emma Miesemann play live because she's always been one of my favorite players. So I lament that I didn't get a Miesemann Sky jersey when I had the chance.
I ate an entire pizza during that game, and I had a very good time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, thanks for listening to Wine and Dime. Follow us on all the socials. If you got a social, we're probably there. Except Blue Sky. We're still not on Blue Sky. Is what it is.
Yeah, I forget that I have Blue Sky sometimes, honestly. We are at Wine and Dime Pod on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter.
And TikTok.
And TikTok.
Yeah. Rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to us, which we're on most platforms for sure. I know we're on Audible. Saw that the other day. It randomly popped up, which was hilarious. I was like, hey, it's us. So yeah, 5 stars. Any reviews? I don't know. Reach out to us. We actually respond. We are interested in your thoughts. With that, we will talk to you later.
Peace.